After the deaths of George Floyd, Ahmaud, Aubrey, and Breonna Taylor, we saw nearly 4 months of protests. We heard over and over again, this is not a moment, but a movement. And now local organizers say it's time to take that movement from the streets and to the legislature.
Joe Biden did win the election, which is great. He can't save us.
Monique McCoy is an executive board member of the NAACP. She says the way our nation took to the streets and stood up against injustice made a difference.
The work is far from finished. We still have a lot of work to do on a local level. We still need to hold our local politicians accountable.
During protests, leaders told people to make their voices heard by voting. And the black vote is a large part of the reason Joe Biden is the president-elect. But what now?
The best thing to do is collaborate. You know, you bring all those parties to the table and you say, how can we work together to make this work? After that conversation is had, hold him accountable for what he promises to do.
Jamila Lewis is a local Black Lives Matter activist.
The movement's just going to continuously rise because we know that though Biden and Harris are elected now, nothing has changed in the stance of where we are right now.
Lewis and McCoy agree. This movement stays alive by people staying involved and by advocating for legislation that puts an end to systemic racism.
2021 legislative cycle here in Nevada that starts in February. And then we also have the United Congress, who is resuming their session November 30th. So you're going to see a lot of people interacting in this legislative cycle.
And during a time when racial injustice is on the forefront in our nation, these ladies weighed in on Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, the first Black woman elected to this role.
We as Black folk often don't get these opportunities. And so when we do see this, we do have to sit here and marvel in that joy and also still hold her accountable too.
All right, so we've gone through the nuts and bolts of the logistics of these new restrictions, but we want to know how locals are reacting to the news. News 3's Gerard Romalo continues our team coverage. He's live downtown, and he's found at least one part of what the governor said tonight. Gerard is not sitting very well at all with people.
Yeah, a couple of points of contention, actually, Jim, and I'm going to go ahead and quote the governor here just so we're clear. He said under the statewide pause, there will be a restriction of 10 people or fewer from no more than 2 households. He went on to say that if you choose to gather with people that you don't live with, you must wear a mask. And this is true if you're indoors or outdoors. He did stop short of calling it a mandate. He specifically used the word restriction. Here's how some people are reacting to that portion of his press conference.
I think it's ridiculous. I manage a vacation office out here in Las Vegas, and this whole thing is ridiculous. But you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do at home with my family.
You don't have control of who I can and can't let in my house, and if I do and don't have a mask. I can understand in public spaces, but at my home, I feel like that's up to me.
I mean, if you were paying my bills, then okay, I can see that, but then you can't control who I can let in and out of my house.
I think it's ludicrous, and I absolutely can't believe that he's even going to ask the American people to do this.
Yeah. Which brings up the issue of enforcement, Jim. Very difficult to enforce this, obviously, on a wide scale. Again, he called it a restriction, which really may be more of a plea based on the honor system. If, in fact, it does become a mandate at some point, he may have a legal fight on his hand. I spoke to one attorney tonight who said that would specifically be unconstitutional and very difficult to uphold in court. Gerard Romalo reporting live. Jim, we'll send it back to you.
G, as you point out, enforcement's key. You can make all the rules you want, but if people don't follow them, it's a whole different matter. Thank you for that.
With an increase in food insecurity caused in part by the COVID-19 pandemic, organizations and businesses are working hard to collect and pack meals to give families one less worry this Thanksgiving. It's the season of giving.
Our goal today is to provide a fall-themed grocery basket for approximately 9,000 families.
As we have the opportunity to provide 1,000 families with a Thanksgiving meal.
An act of neighbors helping neighbors.
We help nearly 5,000 children in this valley each and every week by providing them with meal bags of their own so that they can feel good about themselves and know that there's somebody in the community that's reaching out to help them in some way.
From turkeys and stuffing to goods that fill a pantry. Hundreds of volunteers from the Culinary Academy of Las Vegas, Salvation Army, Serving Our Kids Foundation, and Nectar Bath Treats, with the help of community donors, are addressing a need this holiday season.
There's so many people unemployed from work or don't know where to go for their next meal.
We know that food insecurity has been something that has been a problem in Vegas in general, and that's something that's just been exacerbated with 2020.
According to Feeding America, more than 300,000 people are struggling with hunger here in Nevada. About 40% are children.
And anything Mrs. Claus and I can do to help, we're here for it.
And they need more than cookies. I'm the cookie expert, so.
Help that goes beyond the holiday. Nonprofit Serving Our Kids hopes to collect food items to fill more than 3,000 meal bags to give to Clark County School District students for winter break.
It's a complete community effort, and we come together as a village to take care of one another.
We don't expect to solve all of their problems, but if we could take one away for at least one day, then we know that we did our job.
In Las Vegas, Alexis Gorey, News 3.